You're tuned to GNN, the Global News Network, a division of Town Communications Company Limited. Town presents Japan Journal. Japan Journal with Mal Adams, the Internet's #1 English language weekly online cybercast from Japan. And now your host, Mal Adams.
Hey, good day, everyone, and welcome to Japan Journal. I'm Mal Adams, and today we delve into a thought-provoking and controversial thesis presented by historian Shlomo Sand in his book, The Invention of the Jewish People. Now, Sand challenges traditional narratives about Jewish identity and the formation of the Jewish people. Let's explore his key arguments and the debates surrounding them on this edition of Japan Journal. And before we do that, though, you got to forgive me. It's late at night. I'm doing this is a preview to a longer and more in-depth piece that we're going to do. So you caught me at the end of my workday, but I just want to insert here that this particular edition of Japan Journal is brought to you by Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 brand in a can with Coca-Cola. Okay, get it at your local 7-Eleven here in Japan. Probably available to all of our viewers in America and other major nations around the world. But this happens to be one of my favorite imbibables, and in the tradition of ancient Africa and our roots back in the motherland, what we like to do is shout out to our ancestors. And before I go in depth here, I'm going to end my evening like this. Pour out a little liquor for my peeps, because, you know, you can get this at Mama's Bar, Mal's Bar, you know, one of my favorite imbibables, and just a little sip to get this party started, because I've got a lot of talk to share with you. Cheers. Kampai, as you say in Japan. Mm. Mm. Don't miss it. This edition of Japan Journal is sponsored by Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 brand in a can with Coca-Cola. Jack and Coke. All right. Now, let me greet you again. Hello and welcome to Japan Journal. I'm your host, Mal Adams, and today we delve into a thought-provoking and controversial thesis presented by historian Shlomo Sand. Shlomo, S-H-L-O-M-O, last name Sand, S-A-N-D, in his book, The Invention of the Jewish People. Now, Sand challenges traditional narratives about Jewish identity and the formation of the Jewish people, and we're going to explore his key arguments in our upcoming report and the debates surrounding them, of course. Controversial subject. But we deal with the historiography and nationalism associated with his premises, and we'll have scenes of historical documents and European nationalist movements, talk about that. But suffice it to say, Shlomo Sand argues that the idea of a continuous Jewish nation, complete with a shared history and homeland, was constructed as a response to the rise of nationalism in Europe. Nothing to do with Ethiopia, Egypt, Bethlehem, Jerusalem. That's Africa. That's Black Africa. This was a result of a rise in nationalism in Europe. Let's get it clear. And I'm really speaking on what's going on in Palestine to this day. Stay with me for this. So this new historiography, influenced by nationalistic sentiments, played a crucial role in shaping the narrative of Jewish identity. So we'll talk about the origins of Jewish people as we have researched them, and as the Brother Sand indicated in his writings, and we'll show maps depicting the migration patterns to create the diaspora, you know, and created the original Hebrew Jews, and in the diaspora, other ethnic groups converting, not born into, but converting to Judaism, mainly because of the conflicts between Christianity and Islam. They found themselves in the midst of that. And what we understand is that to become objective and neutral took on Judaism. So let's delve into Sand's theory about the origin of the Jewish people. He challenges the notion that Jews have a distinct ethnic group with a shared ancestry. Instead, Sand contends that most Jews are descendants of converts from diverse regions, including the Middle East and Eastern Europe, as I just stated. Now, according to Sand, these converts came from various backgrounds, and their assimilation into Jewish communities over centuries created a diverse and blended heritage, challenging traditional perceptions of a homogeneous Jewish ancestry. So let's deal with academic critiques and debates about this theory. Backed up by solid evidence, I might remind you, when you do your own research, you decide for yourself whether you believe the evidence that he presents to validate his contentions. But all kinds of scholars are engaging in discussions about this, very controversial. But I presented to give some light on the origin of the current conflict in the nation of Israel, the established nation of Israel, as a result of the Balfour Agreement from UK, who did not own Palestine, but they controlled it, and they had the mandate after World War One to control that land. And then Rothschild and a guy named Chaim Weizmann cut a deal with the British government to establish a homeland there. That ain't got nothing to do with Judaism. That's Zionism. And in another report, we'll talk about the differences between those two concepts. But let's deal with this intellectually and historically and journalistically to put some understanding on what's going on there so we can get justice to be served. Because you got war crimes going on. You got genocide going on. And as a journalist, I'd be remiss if I didn't shed some light on that so we could arrive at the right conclusion. So, as controversial as it may in fact be, I ain't scared of it. I'm not afraid to deal with it. I've spent a career, 53 years, dealing with controversial issues in the news and the world affairs and the events that shape our lives. So, of course, not surprisingly, Sand's theories have sparked intense debates in academic circles. Critics argue that the Jewish diaspora has historically included a rich tapestry of communities with unique histories and backgrounds. Fact, okay? And then they question Sand's emphasis on converts and challenge his rejection of a shared ethnic identity. Okay, I challenge it too based on the evidence that I've read. And so I'll maintain my objectivity and report it to you and let you decide as a journalist normally would do. You make your own decision. But here are the facts as we know them, and then you draw your own conclusions. So, for example, some scholars point to genetic studies revealing common markers among Jewish communities, suggesting shared ancestry. Additionally, they highlight historical texts, emphasizing the continuity of Jewish identity even in the face of diaspora. Okay, so I'm going to end this segment here. This is just a preview of what's coming up. So, in conclusion, what we'll come to is that Shlomo Sand's book, The Invention of the Jewish People, offers a provocative perspective on Jewish history. That's all we're introducing to you. Do your homework, check it out for yourselves. And there are challenging established narratives, but we got to put it on the table in these days and times, given what's going on in Palestine right now. You know what I'm saying? Let's do our homework, do our deep dive, and come up with something so justice can be served. And while his theories have stimulated valuable discussions about identity, they are not without controversy, as I've stated, and have faced critiques from scholars. Now, as with any historical inquiry, the debate continues, and our understanding here on Japan Journal of the complexities of Jewish history continues to evolve, and we'll report to you as we cover this ongoing story here that is shaping our lives now. In these dates and times, you got genocide going on in Palestine today, folks. So I want to thank you for joining us on Japan Journal. I'm your host, Mal Adams, and until next time, I bid you uh, uh, a happy evening. Take care of yourselves. But before I go, let me just suggest to you that what we're going to do in future reports is do a deeper dive into the historical and biblical context regarding the appearance of Jesus and the possible origins of the original Jews. Now, I love sharing this story, so you can't refute this if you're a Christian or a Jew or a believer in Islam, because it's written in the Bible. So I'm making a transition here into another aspect of what we got coming up for you in more detail. So I'm going to welcome you back to Japan Journal. I may put a commercial in here and sell some more Jack Daniels old number 7 in Coca-Cola in a can. And pour a little liquor for our ancestors here, African tradition. We call it libations, and wish you all happy holidays. And cheers, everybody. So I'm going to wrap it up and ask you to stay tuned to Japan Journal here on this YouTube channel and on Facebook, social media, on the timeline, LinkedIn, X, formerly Twitter. We distribute widely over social media, but this is Japan Journal, the internet's #1 weekly English language online cybercast from Japan with yours truly, Mal Adams here. And I welcome you back to this particular extended segment about the promo of what we've got coming up. So in today's segment, we're exploring the historical and biblical context regarding the origins of the original Jews, and we'll delve into the descriptions of Jesus and the proximity of Jerusalem and Bethlehem to Africa, particularly Egypt. So, let's talk about the descriptions of Jesus in the Bible. Most of you probably heard of this, and we'll have images of biblical verses and artwork depicting Jesus, including the Black Madonna and child in Poland there, where the Catholic Pope goes every year, deals and bows and kisses that, acknowledging that Jesus was Black and his mama was Black, But we go further. The Bible provides various descriptions of Jesus, and one notable depiction, which I love so much, comes from the book of Revelation. And it describes Jesus as having hair like lamb's wool, just like Brother Mal's hair. I'm not an Ashkenazi Jew, Caucasian from Russia, Poland, Germany, and Austria. No, my roots extend black and back to Africa. And we got a little Irish mixed in there. I think I've got some Ashkenazi Jewish in me. My granddaddy spoke Yiddish, but I digress. So, the Bible. Notable depiction comes from the book of Revelation, where it describes Jesus having hair like lamb's wool and feet like burnt bronze. Did you hear me? Now, these descriptions have led to discussions about the possible African or Black lineage of Jesus and the original Hebrew Jews. So, considering the geographical proximity of Jerusalem and Bethlehem to Africa, especially Egypt, some scholars and historians have explored the idea that the original Jews may in fact have had closer ties to African cultures and populations. I personally believe that. Let's talk about the Afro-Asiatic connections, and we will in our report coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to show images of ancient trade routes and cultural exchanges. The Afro-Asiatic connections between Africa and the Middle East were robust in ancient times. And it's important to note that trade routes and cultural exchanges facilitated interactions between African and Middle Eastern civilizations, influencing each other's languages, customs, and appearances, okay? All right, so let's deal with the artifacts and historical evidence. Archaeological and historical evidence also suggests significant cultural and trade connections between Egypt and the ancient Near East. That's a fact. And these interactions likely played a role in shaping the diverse ethnic and cultural landscape of the region, no doubt. So if you talk about diversity in ancient Jewish population, you gotta, there are plenty of ways to illustrate and depict the diversity in the ancient Jewish population. The original Jewish population was, in fact, diverse with various ethnic and cultural influences. It's important to recognize in this piece that the concept of racial identity in the ancient world did not align with modern classifications, and people identified more with their cultural and religious affiliations. You do your homework, you'll find that to be a fact. So, while some scholars argue for a more diverse and interconnected ancestry for the original Jews, it is crucial to approach this topic. And as a professional journalist of 53 years, I recognize this, and I'm going to employ that in my research and my reportage to you. It's crucial to approach this topic with a nuanced understanding, acknowledging the complexities of historical identity and the diversity within the ancient Jewish population. So in closing, let me summarize thusly. The descriptions of Jesus in the Bible, coupled with the historical and geographical context of the region, have sparked discussions about the potential African or Black lineage of the original Jews. The Afro-Asiatic connections and the diversity within the ancient Jewish population add layers to our understanding of the rich tapestry of the region's history. So I want to thank you for joining us on Japan Journal. I am Mal Adams, and we will continue to explore diverse topics in the coming episodes. And until next time, y'all take care, okay? So I'm going to ask my director to fade me out right here, roll the closing graphics, and somebody kick my theme music. Hit it!
You're tuned to GNN, the Global News Network, a division of Town Communications Company Limited. Town presents Japan Journal. Japan Journal with Mal Adams, the internet's #1 English language weekly online cybercast from Japan.